So you've led teams through startups, rapid growth, and even turnarounds. What is the most important lesson you've learned from navigating those phases of change?
Okay, first of all, lots of lessons are learned through those. But the one that probably sits with me or resonates the most is the ability to do a bit of a reset. And I think that's really important, not only for myself, but for the team. I think that when things are moving really quickly, there's a lot of different competing priorities. I think we can sometimes get a little bit overwhelmed and just not really sure what to prioritize and focus on. And so I think everybody should just take a moment to pause, reflect, double check your priorities, make sure you're working on the most important things. And to be honest, I had that moment this week where I just needed to take half an hour and kind of just refocus and reset. And honestly, you feel a lot better coming out of it.
Absolutely. I could not agree more with just taking a 5, 10, 30-minute break to step away and reset. You come back more refreshed and focused as well. So, in your current role, you're helping drive digital leadership at Lantern. How would you define digital leadership in today's business landscape?
Okay. I actually think this is a pretty difficult question to answer because it's a really big, broad theme. But I probably take it from the lens of being a people and culture leader. And it really is about thinking about creating a culture of innovation. And when you think about what does that actually mean, it's prioritizing continuous learning, making sure that not only do I invest in it, but I encourage others, I create the platforms, the tools, the processes, that we really take that as a top priority. I often think a little bit about digital leadership and the speed of which we're moving these days and all the new tools that we have coming at us. I think part of that digital leadership and that culture is also just being aware that there's more to come. And so we're never done learning. I love getting little tidbits of how to know how from other people. And I think if we learn it together, it'll fast forward our continuous learning and our digital leadership.
Absolutely. Okay, taking a little bit of a different approach here into your personal life. So you shared that you've lived in several countries. I'm curious, what's one place that has left a lasting impression on you and why?
Okay, so thinking through this question, probably grab a lot of things. I tend to be a bit of a foodie. And so I was thinking, do I care most about food? Probably not. I spent 3 years in Japan and probably just the time there creates that lasting impression for me because I participated in so many new things, whether it was new food, new culture, new experiences. But I actually remember back to all the challenges that I had as a solo traveler in the sense that I had friends there and a travel partner, but it was the first time that I really ventured out on my own as a young adult. And I think just embracing those challenges and those opportunities, lots of fun. But I actually think that foundation of confidence for me that I really could tackle lots of new things and embrace new challenges. So it's left the biggest lasting impression. And yeah, I recommend Japan to everybody. I was an English teacher there. It was great.
That's awesome. And I love that you took that experience for yourself to build confidence and just experience a new culture and way of life. Last question. Can you please share a piece of advice that has been a guiding light throughout your career?
Okay, I don't know if it's a guiding light, but it's the one thing that resonates the most with me, and I continue to use it. It's probably about maybe 8, 10 years ago, a leader once said, "What are your non-negotiables?" And I don't think I'd ever heard that terminology before. What were my non-negotiables? And it took me a minute to think through what were they and have they changed? Are they going to change again? And then anyway, I set 1 or 2 non-negotiables for myself. And what this means is I love what I do. I've always loved the companies I work for, the roles that I've had. But there's also really important things going on in whether it's my family or friend life. And when you set those non-negotiables, it means that you prioritize those things that are important to you outside of work. And so I don't have regrets. I didn't miss an important milestone of my daughter, whether it was sports or school, because that was one of my non-negotiables. And feedback for everybody, what are your 1 or 2 non-negotiables? And feel comfortable sharing that with your team, with your leader. It doesn't mean that you get an excuse not to work. What it does is gives you an ability to articulate and communicate what's really important to you outside of what we do that's really important at work. So good advice. It stuck with me. And hopefully I pass that little nugget on to everybody else.